Hey, Joseph, aka MBT. Thank you so much for doing this. I was thinking about how I could extend my appreciation to you. So I actually got you a card and I will be sending this to you as soon as I know a place to send it. So Swords of Revealing Light, but of course, I'm giving you the version that we all actually know, the one that we're all
With
familiar
the
with.
flip effect negation, I swear it's always had this effect. They just erased it from every errata and every print except for the one I had when I was 3.
Exactly.
Well, thank you.
All right. So how we're going to do this is we're going to kind of move through this interview, sort of like Yu-Gi-Oh phases. I want to keep you to your origins here. We're going to go nostalgia, uh, card shop culture, talk a little anime side, go to some challenges, and then do an old head debate, just because like I'm a bit of an old head. And then we're probably going to do like a quick fire off round. So yeah, let's get right into it. So curious as to what your playground deck was like when you started. What was like your little kid playground deck?
Kind of a tough question. Like a lot of kids, the stuff I was playing in like 2003, 2004 was the stuff I had. Just a big stinking pile of all of the cards that I thought were neat. I remember playing like Toon Goblin Attack Force in the same deck as like old Keldo. And I don't know, if I thought there was a synergy there or what, but I was just excited to play anything. As I got a little better and started making the tough decisions about shaving cards that I did enjoy, I guess I would say I approached something playing Chaos. Chaos Sorcerer was, of course, available at Common, which meant that for little kids, he was pretty much the best thing you could have. It got so bad that the people that I played with in my neighborhood just sort of implemented house rules that that card specifically was banned. And looking back, I understand it. The first deck I really played that made any sense would be right after GOAT format. I started going to a hobby shop around me that had a local that fired every Saturday. And the people at the shop were kind to me because I was a kid and helped me put together, I guess, sort of the skeleton of a Dark World deck. So I think I would say that was like my first strategy. Prior to that, I was just waxing other children with Chaos Orc, which was fun.
Oh, I love that. And you kind of answered my next question, your first archetype. When you say Dark World, is this pre-Grapha or is this like after that structure deck had come out?
Very pre-Grapha.
Okay.
No, Graph is what, 2011? I'm talking like 2006. Best thing you can do is summon Silva and Gold. And to be clear, at the time, that was a powerful play, but didn't stack up very well against Monarchs, didn't stack up well against what people started playing shortly after I got into the game, which was Teledad.
Uh-huh.
Unsurprisingly, despite the fact that the Dark Worlds are dark, there are a lot better ones you can be using to make that card. I remember that I was also kind of a purist when it came to the archetype. I was playing like khaki and maxed out on like brow, even though there weren't fantastic ways to utilize it. And the reason was because I would look up Dark World decks online and people would be like, yeah, I'm playing a package of 3 silver, 3 gold in a deck with 3 cyber dragons. And I'd go, Cyber Dragon? That's not a Dark World at all. These people don't know what they're doing. And of course, they had massive success, but I got to feel superior regardless.
So something you just kind of touched on was the card shop there. You talked about they treated you great because you're a kid. I think a huge part of the TCG experience, this goes past a Yu-Gi-Oh! This is obviously Magic, Pokemon, everything. A huge part of it is shaped by your local scene, right? Of
Mhm.
course, the internet is great, but nothing really replaces that like culture that the local card shop, develops. And in my experience, I have never seen a card shop here. It's either they're amazing or they suck, and there's no in between. It's like awesome or it sucks. So, in your opinion, like what makes a card shop great?
Um, ugh. There's a lot of stuff you can do as someone who, I guess, owns or operates a card shop to like make the experience better for the people who come there, but a lot of it is the people who show up. I've been in a lot of card shops where everything was fine. The management was kind, the prices were fair. They had great policies when it came to table time. But the clientele was just really bad.
Hmm.
Yu-Gi-Oh, especially in like the early teens, was really a breeding ground for a very specific type of personality. And you get too many people who are excited to scam little kids in a room, and you're never going to come out away with anything that's worth attending. But in general, I think card shops that are able to foster a culture of like getting kids excited about the game and being understanding when it comes to new players do a lot better than those that don't. And I've been very lucky in the last like half decade to basically only go to card shops where people were cool, weren't like uh, locked in, hoodie on, no
Hmm.
talking for a 4 round local where you're playing for 1/12 of a booster box. I've enjoyed the couple of locals that I attend frequently, which is Token is the big one, but I go to Dream Wizards on occasion as well.
If you own a shop, so if you were, running one, what would you do differently?
Um, this is the tough one. I would be willing to kick people out of the store for being assholes. There's a lot of people in
Wow.
the community that like are very good at towing the line. I think we're kind of taught to do so by the specific rule set of Yu-Gi-Oh, where like there's this intentionality portion of judge calls and stuff that means that following the exact letter of the law but being kind of a jerk about it is sort of paramount. And the people who enjoy that type of interaction are really frustrating to be around. A lot of locals I've been at were populated by people who weren't technically breaking any of the rules at the local, but really were being kind of a big asshole. And
Hmm.
I think it's hard to ask stores not to sell to people, but I think some stores would be really well served by just sort of isolating a personality that is not exciting to be around and be like, listen, man, either you're going to have to shape up or we're going to have to kick you out, even though you're not technically breaking any rules.
No, that's such a great answer. Watching your channel and seeing you do your tournament challenges, I would have thought you'd implement, challenge tournament type things. Like that's kind of where I thought you were going to go with that. But I love that answer. Like no assholes, basically, would be the sign on the door. Yeah, that's great. Is there a big red flag? So this is my last thing on card shops. I'm obsessed with card shops. I think they're the coolest thing ever. I love walking in. If I'm traveling or anything, I just type in TCG on my Google Maps and just show up. I just love them. What's like a big red flag when you walk in? So you kind of talked about hoodie on. Is it sort of like that very pulled back person behind the counter? Is that kind of a red flag, or like what would that kind of be?
I think my number one red flag for a card shop when it comes to Yu-Gi-Oh specifically is you ask them about like Yu-Gi-Oh or like tournaments or like if they sell singles or something and they're like, "Oh yeah, our Yu-Gi-Oh guy gets in at X time." Because some yeah, some stores will have like they mostly make their money selling Magic or whatever because Yu-Gi-Oh cards very infrequently do they hold value over a long period of time. And so they basically contract out to one random guy who has a bunch of like loose binders, and that's like their Yu-Gi-Oh guy. And will basically backpack vend out of the store
Hmm.
and occasionally run unsanctioned tournaments. And those experiences, I'm always like, all right, okay. And I'll be like, you know what? I'm not going to try and like shoot the gap on this person being here at the same time I'm being here, and I'll head out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. Switching it up a little bit. Want to go anime side? Are you familiar with the Noah arc?
Yeah, in the anime,
Yeah,
the virtual
yeah,
world arc, yeah,
yeah. So you're familiar with Deck Masters?
yeah,
And you might have done a video on this, so if you have, I do apologize. If you had to have a deck master, who would it be?
yeah. I only spoke a little bit about this when Deckmaster was first introduced as like a potential alt format. It didn't really take off, of course, and I think a lot of that is there's a lot of good answers to this question. I know that probably I would pick the Last Warrior from Another Planet, just because
Oh yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
I'm scummy. But if I was picking a monster that I thought was like my favorite or I enjoyed a lot, it would probably be Masked Hero Dark Law. Although that's also just macro. That like I'm describing a different Floodgate monster, but yeah, you know.
Dang, that the last word from the planet. That first off, that's a huge callback, and second, that's actually such a great answer. My favorite deck I've ever made is my level one deck, so I'd have to go King of Bio because Spirit. So it'd come out, I'd get basically a free Monster Reborn, come back to my hand, so that way it stays safe. Because I believe I don't really remember the Noah arc that well, but I believe if your deck master died, you lost. And
Mm.
so I would try to keep him safe, and that's how I would pull that. But dude, last word from the planet is an awesome answer. Okay, let me kick you a scenario. This is we're still anime side. You have to face Seto Kaiba. Your sister's eyesight is on the line. You have to win with an alternate win condition deck. What are you going with? And don't go deck out. That's a cheat answer.
Oh, I'd love to do that. I'll just play Runic or something. No, yeah, I think the unfortunate truth is no alternate win condition has ever been good outside of Exodia. So I'd probably have to pick Exodia. I'm trying to think like what I could even there's like Phantasm Spiral Assault, but that is not good. Um FA Winners is not good. I think the best play would be I would play one of those big sexy combo decks that just hopes your opponent doesn't draw a hand trap. What are the chances Kaiba's going to draw a hand trap? His whole deck's Hitatsumi Giant. And it'd be based around resolving the effect of musical sumo dice games. I think that's probably the best I could manage.
I love that. No, that's such a good answer. I'd probably go Final Countdown because I just would be an asshole.
FC. Yeah, of course it's Final Countdown. Yeah. You're totally right. That's the right answer.
I would just try to stall the hell out of him and yeah, and just watch him just, be sitting there in rage. Okay. Little Pokemon crossover here. If you were a Yu-Gi-Oh gym leader, what would be your type or subtype? So like you could be the Pyro gym leader or the Flip Summon gym leader. I'm not quite sure what the terminology, what's the terminology you call it when it's like union, flip? What's that verbiage?
We really don't have one. I've been calling it ability because I think it's called that once somewhere, but unfortunately there is not a standard term now.
I wrote subtypes. So,
yeah, right.
Okay, yeah. So you could be Pyro, Flip Summon, any of that. What gym leader are you gonna be? And just like how you called out earlier, Purist, you'd have to go pure Purist. Like not like every single monster, but the whole deck is revolved around that thing.
It's funny you should mention this. As part of one of Distant Coder's subathons, someone made an Emerald ROM hack where all the gym leaders were Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers, and I was in there, but they used Pokemon. So it was I was like electric ghost, I want to say. I thought that was kind of cool.
Which stage were you? Like gym leader 1 or 8 or which
I
one
was
were
early.
you?
I was like the second or third, I think.
Oh, okay.
If I had to pick like weird abilities, I think Flip would be one. I think Flip is like a cool series of cards. I obviously am a big fan of cards like Tyndaggle Drelth, Terrifying Toddler of Torment, the Fiend Slop stuff. I also like the Prediction Princesses, which are, of course, an archetype that takes advantage of really powerful flip monsters. Like Pot of the Forbidden was one of the cards that I really enjoyed when it came out in like 2016. And I think there's a lot of really funny stuff you can do with them, especially in old Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, I think back to the second place 2005 Worlds event where Empty Jar was represented. Really cool flip archetype for one player at the table. So I would say Flip, and I think if I had to pick another one, it would be Fiend. Like Flip Fiends, I think would be cool.
Yeah. Okay, I believe it's your Patreon. Is it Patreon? No. I don't know. Whatever. Somewhere you describe yourself as a hero stan. Of all the hero variants, which one do you gravitate towards the most?
Oh, that's a tough one because despite the fact that there's like a trillion of them, they are kind of similar. Like what is the difference between an elemental hero and a destiny hero? Well, the destiny heroes are dark. Well, okay, what about an evil hero and a destiny hero? It's like, well, some of the evil heroes are dark. It's I think the ones that I like the most, despite the fact that it's mostly just a machine to get a monster I like on the field over and over again, is the masked heroes. I think the masked heroes are super cool. I'm so excited that they are finally adapting the main deck monsters, Furnace and Crow. And I hope that they are able to print cards that give hero a deck to do that isn't just slam all the heroes into one strategy and hope for the best. A masked hero archetype that plays low to the ground, makes Dark Law early and often. Oh, I would die for it.
Yeah, I love Dark. I took Dark Law to a regional a long time ago. I love that as well. So what is it about them that makes you, that you call yourself a stan? Like, is it the theme? Is it just like their role in the anime, their play style? Like, what about it makes you gravitate towards them? I'm kind of right there with you. Absolute Zero is my favorite card of all time. So that's like my number one. I tried making a deck around that so many times. I mean, this is a long time ago, but I've tried making a deck around that so many times to very little success. But yeah, what about them, pulls you in?
I mean, I'm currently playing a deck that's built around Absolute Zero
Oh,
in
I love
Edison.
that.
Deck's really good. No, it's not anything particular about the theming. A lot of people I talk about hero with, and they're like, oh, it's because they're superheroes and like you're into that kind of stuff. It's like not really even. It's just they keep printing really cool cards as heroes. Like if Masked Hero Darklaw was not a hero, I would still think it's really cool. If Absolute Zero was not a hero, I would still think
Hmm.
it's really cool. Stratos remains so iconic as a card that searches other cards from the archetype. We refer to cards that do that effect as a Stratos. So I
Hmm.
think it has the highest concentration of like interesting, iconic effects of any archetype. And of course it has to because it's bigger than any archetype. But I do like it for that reason. And I like that there's a lot of flexibility when it comes to how you want to build a hero deck and what direction you want to take it in.
Yeah, right on. Okay, so switching over to challenges. So these are all gonna be challenges for you. This is more of a question for your billionaire alter ego. You posted a video a while back, your president, CEO. Okay,
Right, of
so
course.
you're this character, you got the suit jacket on. KONAMI makes you president tomorrow. What is your first executive order?
I'm importing Rush Duels without question. Rush Duels are coming to the TCG. We're gonna get the nice cards.
Next challenge. Okay, pick it an Egyptian god. This is one of the original Egyptian gods. You have to rewrite the card to be playable. It doesn't have to be topping, but just it's viable. But you have to keep the three tribute costs. Like so, pick one of them. Like let's just say you go obelisk. What would you change about it to make it viable? Keeping the three tribute.
So Obelisk came out a little early and was like on and off playable in bad frog
Hmm.
decks. Slifer's got this floodgate attached to him that occasionally makes him sort of relevant. I guess there was that one period when people were using the revived Sky God to like draw 7 or 8 cards in a tier lament, but that was a total gimmick. I think the one with the ripest kind of foundation to be transformed is Raw. Raw's never been good under any circumstances, and it's got like 1,000 support cards that make it trivially easy to get out. So I like to build upon that foundation, and all you need to do is print a Raw with an effect that does something. The 1,000 pop could be a quick effect really easily. I think the pay your life points to increase its attack could be done in different degrees. Like right now, it's all but 100 or nothing, which
Hmm.
turns off the pop effect. I'd like it to have some sort of protection. Like for some reason, it doesn't have any protection, even though in the show it was all about the divine hierarchy. And if you go and look at the anime version of Raw, there's like 1,000 extra effects it has. Like it's
Hmm.
unaffected by spell traps. It's like
Yeah.
there's like dozens of them. Really, just printing some of those on the card probably would make it pretty good. But regardless of what's put on the card, it's still a tall order because you are funneling everything into this one monster. I would like to make it so individually powerful that it starts like a new class of towers deck. Like, instead of being a big unaffected guy with a lot of attack, it's a big unaffected guy that is your entire game plan, is your finisher, and is almost impossible to get off the field.
I love that. Okay, obscure card. Is there an obscure card that you've come across that you tried really hard to build a deck around, but with very little success? I'm very inspired by your shorts. I love them. I learned about True Exodia from you, and so I've been working on trying to get that. I'm like, man, what a crazy card! But I'm like, I gotta try to get a deck around this. So yeah, anything like that 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 you're trying to craft and you haven't quite cracked the code on yet.
Yeah, I mean, talk about battle win cons. Um, in like 2012, I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh for a little bit because of Dragon Ruler format. I mean, I couldn't keep up with it, of course. It was too expensive. And I was in high school, so it was the last year of high school, so I was trying to get laid. So I took a little break. And when
Dragon
I came
Rulers
back,
might have helped you.
yeah, right. And when I came back in 2014, I was uh I was enamored with this like really old card called a Summoner of Illusions. It's a flip monster that's it just cheats out a guy from your extra deck. It says special summon a guy from your extra deck. It's destroyed at the end of the turn. This reminds me of a lot of really powerful effects in Magic, so I was like immediately took to it. And you can summon a card called Gaia Drake the Universal Force, which can't be destroyed by card effects. So I was like, oh, okay. So like here's a little synergy that you can build around. And it of course was not good enough. And I've tried like a dozen times to try and figure something out with this card. His cards in the extra deck have gotten better. And the unfortunate truth is it's just it's just not enough. I've never found anything that works well with this guy. I would like to break this card very, very much. In terms of more modern cards, I'm always looking out for a deck that will work with the Tindangles. Tindangle Drelth is so powerful as an individual card and does so little. But it'll require, I mean, maybe the Enacrafts, they'll print some like generic flip support that helps decks that just play flip monsters, and we'll see. But until then, those are my two. Yeah, Jirelth and Summoner of Illusions.
Last challenge in here. Okay, I've got a Toon Fixer Upper. So I love your breakdown on Toons. I completely agree. They're the worst super. I'm going to call it super type now. They're the worst super type ever created. How would you try to make these guys playable? Like, what could you do as a sweeping thing for the Toons? Again, not trying to bring them up to tier 0, but give me something like tier 2 or something.
Yeah, I mean, I would just give them a combo game plan. Toons is one of those archetypes that, like, despite the fact that it isn't, there's no reason for it to be. It's very parasitic. It only really works with Toon cards. And it's like there's been decades of powerful generics that this deck desperately needs access to. And I would give them cards that enable a more general combo strategy. I think in terms of making the Toons feel special, the easy one is wipe away all the extra text. You know, they don't need Toon World.
Yeah.
They don't need to die when Toon World dies. It could be something as simple as they are cards that are normal summonable. You can normal or set them, but if Toon World's on the field, you can pay X number of life points to special them. And like they can, this attack on the second turn is unbelievable. Maybe it's like they can attack at any time, but from the second turn onward, they can attack directly if your opponent doesn't have a Toon monster or something. It's still similar to what Pegasus was doing in the anime. Really, really hard deck to balance though, for sure.
No, that's a really great answer. I kind of like the idea of attacking that second turn. Maybe it's like something kind of similar to Gemini where they get their secondary effects on that next turn or something like that. That's actually great. That'd be a really great way to punch them up, and absolutely not death chaining them to Toon World.
Yes.
All right, so I want to be respectful of your time here. So moving on to deck design, balance, and mechanics. Okay, so you've poked. I love your videos to death. So like when I say this, don't think I'm trying to start a fight. You poked at fun at old heads like me all the time. Like, you know, the game used to be better when. Let me just start by saying, clear the air. You're totally right. I always feel conviction whenever you touch on this. In my defense, I think for a lot of us, it's about the pacing, which again, you've called out. The game just feels so fast for me now. I'm definitely not suggesting, I'm not advocating for the La Gen era. 2011 to 2015, I was going hard on the game. And yeah, I'd say that was when I was at my most hardcore, and I define this because I spent $250, I think, on a playset of Tour Guide from the Underworld, and this is back when I'm working at Hardee's making $8.25 an hour. So you know this is like all in for me, like all my money. So anyway, I would love to advocate for duels averaging around 8 to 12 turns. You've mentioned that, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh is unique. It doesn't have mana like Magic or their energy like Pokemon. Is there anything that you could think, what mechanic to the game essentially would you add to kind of slow it down without breaking the game? The way I see it, there's three completely unchecked engines in Yu-Gi-Oh. It's you know, searching, spells, and special summoning. And I would say if I had to put the brakes on something, it would be the special summoning. What would you do to maybe slow down the game just a little bit while keeping the game still Yu-Gi-Oh?
Yeah, I mean, I do wanna hit back just a little bit. While the game has ended up in a place where I do think we get a lot of interaction in those 1 or 2 turns, I don't want to imply that I think that is like better than spending like a dozen turns passing back and forth. Playing a lot of Edison recently has made me feel like, boy, it sure is nice when you know, games have like an arc to them rather than like a I'm building a board, you are now breaking my board, or else, even if that process is fun and interactive. I've been playing a lot of VSK9 recently, and that deck is damn fun, both to play with and against in terms of like building boards and breaking boards, because the boards you build are very breakable. It's just about kind of interacting over the course of a game. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that the thing that would have to go to slow down the game is special summoning. There's just no way. I think the closest that anyone ever got, and probably what I'd advocate for, was in like 2018 when everyone was kind of pulling their hair out because of the like firewall formats back to back. A group of individuals made an alt format courtesy of Treetop Duelist called Trinity format. And there were a couple of rules to this format. One of them was that decks were singleton. You could only play one of each individual card. Deck size was smaller. You could play a second of one of the singleton cards by going a little above the minimum deck size. So you trade some consistency for like an additional copy of a power card. But the really interesting one to me was you were only permitted to perform a special summon of effect monsters 3 times per turn. And as a result, obviously some decks were way better than they would have been otherwise. Cards like the Mech Knights have a lot of power concentrated in individual cards rather than over the course of a long combo. So like they were really good, whereas something that takes a lot of summons to get to a monster that actually does something wouldn't be. But there was a ton of really interesting innovation in that format, both in terms of decks you could play and individual cards you could play in powerful archetypes. There were people who would cheat the limit by playing like vanillas. You could get off unexpected die because it wasn't an effect monster summon, or performing a pendulum summon in order to get a bunch of monsters in one summon. And those games almost always went like a dozen turns. I think that is probably the closest to a slower version of modern Yu-Gi-Oh you could get. But one of the downsides of Trinity was every format, as new cards came out, the format would break and everyone would have to scramble to put together a ban list and like a list of restricted cards, because what you are trying to buttress in a situation like that is Konami's designs, right? Like the card game has been designed to be played over the course of 2 turns really, really fast. So you can limit special summons, but unless that comes from Konami, unless that guidance comes directly from the top, they are going to keep developing cards to be played with the understanding you're doing a trillion special summons. So it is something I would like to see changed. I think games go long now. I would like to see them go longer with both players getting a chance to like have multiple turns. Outside of curbing special summons, which I think is the way, the only way that can realistically change is like very, very deliberate design choices over the course of like years. So yeah, I think you are absolutely right in identifying what would have to happen. And I hope that someday something similar might.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Maybe they'll watch this and they'll be like, hey, you know what? We hadn't thought about that one. All right, so now we're at this last section here. This is gonna be called like the favorites round. This is gonna be kind of rapid fire. So I'm just gonna say a card type and just let me know which one's your favorite. So yeah, quick play spell.
I guess I would say probably Mystical Space Typhoon.
Yeah, classic. I think I have to go, for me, it would be Book of Moon, or Forbidden Lands. I love them just because it's offensive and defensive, and they're, yeah. Okay, yeah, Counter Trap.
Probably Judgment. You know, I played the most
Yeah.
Judgment out of any of these. If I had to pick an archetypal card, maybe Orchestra Crescendo.
1-star monster.
Moki Moki.
Normal monster.
Yeah, Moki Moki.
Flip monster.
I want to say Tindangle Drelth.
Hero.
Darklaw.
And your favorite band card.
Band card, Magical Scientist.
Joseph, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time today, answering some questions. You know, this was great. I love hearing your insight. You are my portal to the meta world, and just what's going on like in the game right now. So thank you so much for all your content, everything you're doing for the Yu-Gi-Oh community. And I mean that very sincerely. And yeah, thank you so much for doing this.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on. This was fun.